Hey there, therapists. Are you ready to start 2026 as the best year ever in your private practice? I'm here to tell you about my new January specials for my private practice coaching. If you have never done a coaching session with me before, you can save $50 off your initial session with me right now using the code FIRST in my Calendly link, which I will leave below. And then, if you are hoping to have some more accountability and do some follow up sessions, I'm also doing a special right now where you can buy three and get one free. Both of these offers are only good through the end of January. With the package, you can use that over the next 6 months, but this just locks in that discounted rate beyond your first session. So, if you've been thinking about doing a coaching session with me, now is the time to sign up. I'll go ahead and leave my contact information in the show description below. You can always visit my website, www.kimberlyvanhooser.com. When you sign up for a coaching session with me, I will send you a form where you take time just to self assess your private practice, and that can pinpoint some areas where you might need some help and assistance. Then we will have a full hour together to really work on what you need help with. So that might be honing in on your niche, really developing language for your website that's going to draw in your ideal client. It could be networking strategies. I can answer questions about the best approaches for policies, such as your cancellation policy, or even help you just identify some mindset blockages that you might be experiencing. And for those of you who are interested, I really do love to incorporate the Holy Spirit and a faith driven aspect to our coaching. So, helping you identify and hear God's voice more clearly for the path that you're wanting to take forward in your private practice, all sorts of things that we can do together. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at kimberlyvanhooser.com, or you can go ahead and purchase the package or book a session with me using the link below. Stay tuned for today's episode, where I'll be going over three important things that you need to make sure that your website has in order to draw in your ideal client and make it easy for them to book with you. Hey, Christian therapist. Are you craving a counseling career that aligns with your faith and actually supports your well being? Welcome to the Prosperous Christian Therapist Podcast. I'm Kimberly Van Hooser, Christian therapist, private practice owner, and business coach for mental health professionals like you. In this podcast, you'll get practical strategies and faith-led guidance to help you build a thriving private practice, one that serves your clients well and makes an impact for the kingdom of God. So what are you waiting for? Grab your notebook and join me for today's episode. Welcome to the Prosperous Christian Therapist Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Van Hooser. Happy New Year. This is my first podcast of 2026. I don't know if you're like me, but I love the start to a new year. It's so fun for me every year to reflect on what God has done at the end of a year and then to start it in a new one. I love to do a lot of vision casting and planning for what I hope this next year will bring. So I'm just praying that this next year, 2026, will really usher in just an overload of God's abundant blessings and that you are all aware enough to notice those. I'd love to hear from any of you who are planning on launching your business this month. I do have a Facebook community that I'd love to have you join. It's called Start and Grow Your Private Practice as a Christian Therapist. Feel free to join us and share with us if you are going to be launching your business this month. We would love to support you and encourage you along the way. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing the three things that I think are really important to include on your website in order to draw in people who are interested and ready to book with you. In modern day and age, the reality is that the majority of people are using the internet when they are looking for a therapist. So you don't need to stress out about having a super perfect website or spending thousands of dollars to have someone create one for you. But there are three things that I'm going to share today that I think are super helpful and often overlooked by a lot of therapists when they're creating their website. First thing that's super important to have on your website is messaging that speaks directly to your ideal client, not to other therapists. Quite often, I will see websites that are written in really clinical sounding language or just super generic language that your ideal client's not really going to connect with. So, an example could be, "Hi, my name is Kimberly, and I treat anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, and relationship distress in couples and women using EMDR and exposure response prevention." While that all sounds great, especially if you're another professional, you might understand what type of person this therapist works with and how they might do it. If you're just the average layperson on the street and you just need some help, that's not going to draw you in. It might even turn you off because it sounds really disconnected, overly clinical, and not personal. So, on your homepage, instead of having the first paragraph introducing who you are, your experience, what modalities you use, and what clinical issues you treat, think about having a paragraph that's going to speak directly to the pain points and struggles of your ideal client. If you need some help figuring out how your ideal client is thinking, go ahead and listen to my previous podcast episode called Niche Yourself. That's going to help you put yourself in your client's head and think about how they're thinking and what type of messaging they're going to respond best to. So, that first paragraph on your homepage should either be asking triggering questions or stating sentences that your client will already have in their head. So much so that they might be thinking, how are you reading my mind right now? Questions like, do you feel like you can barely keep your head above the water? Are you completely overwhelmed and sick and tired of having breakdowns in your closet every single night? Do you find yourself getting stuck on the same worry thoughts over and over again, yet you're unable to get rid of them? Really put yourself in the mind of your client and write a paragraph that they're going to say, yes, yes, that's me. And then move into sharing who you are and how you can help. The next thing you need on every single page of your website is a clear call to action. So, this is where you tell people exactly what they need to do next in order to get connected with you. It needs to be a very clear next step. Ready to get the help that you need? Book your 15-minute complimentary consultation call right now. Avoid being wishy washy or kind of unclear about what they're going to get if they reach out to you. So sometimes I'll see websites that are like, interested in therapy, contact me here. And you just fill out a form or you send an email. So I'm a big fan of a complimentary phone consultation. I actually do require that all of my clients complete a phone consultation with me prior to actually booking and coming in for a session. I personally am a big fan of a complimentary phone consultation. I actually do require this for all of my clients prior to them coming in for an actual session. And the first reason for that is to help weed out people who might not be a good fit. That's going to save me time. It also saves them time and money if, for whatever reason, we determine that we're not the best fit for one another. And then another great reason for doing a complimentary phone consultation is it helps build that personal connection and it's going to reduce your no shows a lot more. If you need some help knowing how to conduct good phone consultations, take a listen to episode 23, How to Conduct Phone Consultations That Lead to More Bookings. You can offer a different call to action if you'd like. I know some therapists feel called to offer a complimentary first session. The only hesitation I would have with that is that if you have someone actually come in for a session, you are establishing a level of care and ethical duty to take care of that client. You're establishing that you are their therapist, unless it's very clear in any sort of paperwork or communication that this is just a consultation. It does not indicate therapeutic care. You might not see that as being too big of a deal, but if you are in that first session and you realize it's not a great fit for you, the client might not agree with that. And then you kind of have some sort of ethical dilemma of how do I wrap up with this client who's not a good fit for me? And I don't want to make them unhappy. So you put yourself kind of in an awkward position if that is the case. So I think consultations are important just for establishing if the client feels good working with you and if you feel good working with that client. And for me, I just prefer to do a quick 15-minute phone consultation rather than having either one of us invest a significant amount of time or energy and then discover that we're not a good fit. All right. So the third thing you need to have on your website is an inviting and down to earth picture of yourself. You're welcome to include other pictures of scenery or wildlife or whatever it is that you want to have on your website, but I really think it does make a difference when you have a personal photo. It doesn't have to be anything super fancy or glamorous. In fact, I would actually advise against that. Let it look like you, the real you, and what the client is going to get when they sit down in front of you. Whenever I'm looking up some sort of service that I want to participate in, it always makes a big difference when there's an actual photo of the human being that I'll be connecting with on their website. It helps me actually imagine whether or not I can interact with that person. And I've had so many clients tell me that when I saw your photo on your website, I knew you were the therapist for me. Once again, think about your ideal client and what they would be wanting in a therapist. Obviously, be your authentic self, but sometimes I see these therapy pictures where the therapist isn't smiling. They look kind of mean and scary or super glammed up, where I'd almost be intimidated and feel like I need to show up to therapy with a full face of makeup on in order to not be judged by the person across from me. But just take some time and think about your ideal client, what it is that they might be looking for, what you would convey that would show them that you can relate and connect with them. And don't catfish your prospective clients. Have a picture that actually looks like you. If you've had your website for 10 or 15 years and never updated your photo, it's probably time. I do think it can be worth it to pay for some professional headshots. It can be really great to have someone who knows what they're doing in order to get the right angles and then to do some light editing. So you feel like you look like you in the picture, but you also feel good or good enough about how you look. I've seen two different extremes. One is the sloppy selfie taken up against some blank white wall or the room with a bunch of clutter in the background. And then the other is the full on glamour shot where it looks like this person from a magazine. So just be thoughtful and intentional. I do think having a photo is better than no photo. If you don't have the resources to get professional headshots, then find a friend who is decent with an iPhone camera and just go outside in front of a pretty tree or sit on a cozy couch and have them take a picture of you. I've had my twin sister take pictures. She's not a professional photographer by any means, but she had a decent camera and knew how to do some decent editing on her computer. And then I've also utilized photographers that offer mini shoots. So rather than having to pay several $100s for a bunch of pictures, they might give you 5 edited frames for a couple $100. And that I think has been worth it. So let's go ahead and summarize the 3 things that I'd really encourage you to get on your website in order to attract and connect with your ideal client. The first one is messaging that speaks directly to your ideal client, where they're basically going to feel like you're reading their mind when they read your website. The second is a clear call to action so they know exactly what to do next and what to expect in order to get connected with you. And then the third thing is having a down to earth and inviting photo of yourself on the front page of your website. Obviously, these aren't the only 3 things that I'd recommend that you have on your website. They are the 3 things that seem to be the most overlooked in the websites that I've seen. I would also recommend that you make sure you're focusing and learning on how to do some basic SEO, that you have location specific language interwoven throughout your website. Maybe even start a blog page where you have some blogs that would really be exciting for your ideal client to read. That's all going to help you connect with the right type of client for you. If you would like some more specific or personal recommendations and feedback on how to get started with your website or what changes you could possibly make, that's something I can help with in a one-to-one coaching session. Feel free to reach out to me. My website is www.kimberlyvanhooser.com. I'll go ahead and link it below. You can also post your website in my Facebook group, and I'll do a quick mini assessment for free for you. So go ahead and join, start and grow your private practice as a Christian therapist on Facebook. I'll go ahead and leave the link for that in my description as well. And let me know if you have any questions. I hope this was helpful for you today. I hope you have a blessed start to 2026. And congratulations to those of you who will be launching your business this year and specifically this month. I am your biggest fan and biggest cheerleader. Thanks so much and have a great rest of your day. If you found value in today's episode, would you leave a written review on Apple Podcasts? It helps other faith-led clinicians like you find the show. And don't forget to join my free Facebook community, Start and Grow Your Private Practice as a Christian Therapist, where you'll join other clinicians for encouragement, accountability, and free tips and support. See you there.